going on? Born for Sports. It is another week and another blowout loss for the New York Giants as they fall 35-14 and are now 2-12 on this wretched season in New York Giant football history. We're going to get into the game. There isn't really much to discuss, to be honest, about the game. Basically, what you kind of figured would happen going into this game against a Baltimore Ravens team that has Super Bowl aspirations, that were looking to get a win and an important win for their season. And you knew coming into this game, 16.5 point underdog. A New York Giant team, 16.5 point underdog. When was the last time we could ever say, watching all these years of Giant football, on the 100th anniversary of this franchise, that they would be a 16.5 point underdog at home? That is just typical of what the kind of season and the state of this franchise is in right now. It's basically in mud of shit right now, of a type of point of the franchise's direction and the point of the trajectory to become back to the New York Giants that we all know and love. Well, they're a long way from that, especially looking at a team like this who they played tonight against the Baltimore Ravens at MetLife Stadium, where it wasn't even a contest. I mean, it was over after the first quarter, maybe the first drive of the game. You know, it was that kind of a thing. You know, Cliff is here checking in. What's goody, Cliff? Shout out to you, Cliff. Yeah, I think your Jets got a win today. I'm not sure. Last time I saw, they were winning late, so I know you're happy about that. You got your win for the Jets, but yeah. We're going to talk about this game, man, this Giant game, as they lose 35-14. Story coming into the game was Drew Lock was injured, and Brian Dable went back to Mr. DeVito. Well, DeVito started off the game okay. It was about like 10 to 13. Well, not a lot of yardage, but nevertheless, he was getting completions and trying to move the ball a little bit here and there, and then he got knocked out of the game with a concussion. And Tim Boyle comes into the game, who actually played pretty okay, I would say. Tim Boyle, he finished 12 of 24 for 123 yards and a touchdown and pick, but it's Tim Boyle, so that's what you're gonna get. So it wasn't really that good, and most of that was the second half, where the Giants were down by 28 points, and they were just picking up the garbage time yardage. But, yeah, Tommy DeVito left this game with a concussion. Hopefully the dude's okay. You know, we'll see about next week. Usually when it comes to concussions, usually don't see the player next week. So I would assume that it will be some talk about who will go next week with either Tim Boyle or Drew Lock, who came into the game most of the week. I read that he was in a walking boot until probably the end of the week, and then he got out of that walking boot with an ankle injury, and then all of a sudden, you know, he was elevated to emergency quarterback today. So we'll see as the week goes on how that goes. But this Giant defense got steamrolled today. Lamar Jackson and the Raven offense, they outgained 445 to 236. And to be honest, it could have been a lot worse than that if the game was on the line. I mean, Lamar Jackson just did whatever he wanted to do. You know, three passing touchdowns in the first half. He finished 21 to 25 for 290 yards and 5 touchdown passes today. Light work, basically, of this Giant defense, which is full of just ravaged by injury. A lot of starters not playing in this game. I believe Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau played. Burns had a sack today for his 8th of the year. Thibodeau played. But most of what you saw out there was just a bunch of undrafted free agents and you know, backup players, and just quite frankly not good enough. And it just shows there is absolutely no depth on this Giant team, none, and that falls on Joe Shane. As much as I like this regime, you can't ignore what you see, and you can't ignore the results. This team absolutely has no depth. No depth. They can't withstand an injury. He's been here this regime has been here 3 years, and they just don't have any depth anywhere, man. A lot of draft misses, and quite frankly, not really a lot there of the draft picks that are there for depth. They're just not that good. And it was a lot of undrafted free agents out there running around playing. They play hard. We'll give them that. They play hard and they're flying around. And last week, against a bad Saints team, they played pretty good. A lot of undrafted free agents, they played pretty good, stopped the run. It's funny, it's funny how these guys have come in, they played hard, and they're doing a better job stopping the run. Is it me, or are they doing a better job stopping the run than when the Giant starters were healthy in this game, in this season? I mean, it's really funny how that go, man. It really is. It really is. Let's see. Dorian Latin 2882 checking in. Bad, very bad. Tank. Well, listen, honestly, it is some tank going on, but I don't think they have to. They don't have to, bro. They're looking that bad out there. Look at what's out there we're playing right now. I mean, I'm not worried at all about the draft positioning, because at the end of the day, they're going to be a top 3 pick. I mean, they're just not good. There's a lot of injuries. We got this week. We got another IR, John Runyon, starting guard, big prize free agent. You know me. I'm a point of attack guy. I was happy we signed him. And listen, coming into the season when we signed him, I said, hey, the guy's durable. He should be all right. And what happens? He gets hurt. First time in his career on IR because he's a Giant. Yeah, you just can't make it up. This franchise needs to be detoxed, man. They just can't get out of their own way, man. I mean, everything this season that could go wrong has gone wrong. It's crazy how that go. It really is. It really is. Yeah, they're going to be a top 3 pick. Now, I think the Raiders have to play today. Like I said, I believe the Jets beat the Jaguars today, I believe. I'll double check those scores. But I believe they did. Let me check that out real quick, because this is where we're at late in the season. Now 3 games remaining. It's just all about getting to the finish line, man. That's what it's all about right at this point, and getting into draft position. And let's see what we got here. The Jets won. The Jets won today, so they get their 4th win. The Jaguars lose. That was a battle of 3-10 teams. So yeah, they're gonna be right there. The Raiders play later, so we'll see. So at this moment, the Giants officially have the number 1 draft selection right now. The season ends today, and of course, it does not end today. So, a lot more football left to be played to see where that turns out. But I don't think there's any question they're going to be a top 3 pick. I don't think there's any question. It's just a matter of which slot will they get. That's all. And you've seen, speaking of that, you've seen over the weekend, you've seen all the videos and I find it interesting because, everybody was talking about, Deion's not going to let his son come to New York and the Giants and all of this and that. Well, we've all seen over the last few weeks, last couple of months, actually, Joe Shane and this regime has scouted Shedeur Sanders heavily, and also Cam Ward's heavily for that matter. And there was still talk, hey, Deion's not going to let his son come over here to New York and this and that. Well, There's been videos coming up lately. Him and Malik Neighbors out in New York for the Heisman ceremony. They're playing catch. you know, basically they're playing catch in the streets of New York, throwing the ball around, hanging out with each other. Shador going to the camera so everyone could see, holding the football with a giant logo on it. I mean, and then there was some erroneous reports out there, some Twitter heads out there who just fan pages looking to just start stuff and put stuff out there, and about how Deion doesn't want him here, and then Deion Sanders Shador comes out and he says, "Hey, that's not true." Okay, and it's a shame how people like to put things out there and use my name. And then Deion himself, Coach Prime, came out and said there is no truth to that. Now, people could question that, whether there is any truth to that. We'll see down the road. But at the end of the day, hey, Deion said that he will not do something like that publicly to tell teams if he's not interested in his son going to their team on draft night. He'll do it privately. Well, for him to come out and say that out loud, that goes to show you, hey, they don't mind. They wouldn't mind him here in New York. So, but hey, that's down the road. That's a lot more to see there. I think the most interesting thing is, will they have this regime have the opportunity? Will they have the opportunity to see if people want to be here if they are able to draft them? Because they're making some dubious history every week. Every week they're making dubious history, man. And the 100, think about this for a minute. And this story franchise's 100-year existence. This is the first time in the history of this franchise that they are 0-8 at home during a season. 0-8 at home. Now, think about that for a minute. The NFL just added a 17 week to the season a couple of years back, not even too long ago. So they could very well finish the season 0-9 at home for the first time in franchise history. I mean, there's a lot of dubious history being made here. A lot of dubious history being made here. And it's going to be real interesting to see if this franchise ends up finishing 2-15, 3-14, whatever the record will be. Do they survive this? And I say this because again, the last week we saw a plane talk with a message clear to John Mara to fix this dumpster fire. Well, back-to-back weeks now, another plane came out and put out a message to John Mara again for the second straight week. I mean, and they're making history in a bad way every week. How are they going to survive? How are this regime going to survive? I mean, the facts are the facts. They are not gotten the job done in these 3 years with building this team. There is absolutely no depth. There's a lot of draft misses. Yes. The big thing is they have to find the quarterback, and clearly they didn't have the quarterback. That is all well and good, and it is one of the reasons why we're where we're at, because we missed on a high draft pick quarterback 6 years ago. Yes, it is true. Both can be true, but this is why I say both can be true. The roster still isn't good enough. And listen, coming into the season, I had expectations for this team. I did. I had expectations. I said, hey, this roster's better, which I believe it is, from 2022 that made the playoffs. I wanted our quarterback, Daniel Jones at the time, to give me a 25-touchdown, 4,000-yard season, and I believe that we could contend to possibly make the playoffs. Well, that didn't happen, obviously, and now we're seeing glaringly, besides the draft class that we just had this year, the first two draft classes just haven't been good enough. Coach Dable has not been making the right decisions this year. He's had a lot of issues. We're seeing regression with this roster and with this team. And then, mind you, What makes it worse, Joe Schoen lets guys go, and they're gotten better on other teams. But whatever it is, again, I'm not gonna act like I was not understandably like, hey, Saquon leaves, you can't pay him that. Injury history, aging running back, team not ready to contend. You can't pay a running back that kind of money when you're not ready to contend. Hey, I was on that train. Well, he's balling. So, but I'm not going to hold that one against him like everybody else is trying to. Xavier McKinney, a safety, got a big contract from Green Bay. Where the roster was and where the team was at this year coming to the year was very tough to it was very tough to pay him that kind of money that Green Bay gave him. And he's balling. He's balling and actually gotten better over there because he didn't, to me, when he was here, he didn't even get a lot of turnovers when he was here. He was injured a lot, got, hurt his hand on an ATV accident, all of that. He's gotten better. And it doesn't stop there. There's a lot of players that have left this giant franchise and gotten better, unfortunately. And hey, it is what it is. It just everything that has gone wrong for that you didn't expect to go wrong has gone wrong with this franchise this year. And it's just a perfect storm. And this is why I say, you know what? If you're going to make a regime change, this is the time to do it. You're going to get a high draft pick. If there's a quality candidate out there interested, I'm not here to just say, hey, fire everybody and get anyone in here. No, it's got to be the right candidate or you run it back. That's where I'm at with it. Okay, that's where I'm at with it. You would think, okay, high draft pick, get to pick your quarterback. Hey, that holds value for the job. Story franchise, ownership, whatever. Usually patient with their GMs here. Hey, except the coaches, every 2 years they've been firing coaches. But in my opinion, this is a package deal. I can't do, if you're going to make a change, we get rid of the coach and keep the GM. It's clumsy that way because if we get the quarterback, we allow Joe Schoen to draft the quarterback. And then what if he doesn't survive in another 2 years? Then the new regime, the new GM inherits a quarterback that they didn't draft. And it's clumsy all over again, like in 2022 when we brought this regime in. Dave Gettleman drafted Daniel Jones. Okay? He drafted Daniel Jones. And then this regime inherited Daniel Jones. They didn't pick up his option, his player option. And they were prepared to move on, but the team outkicked the coverage. And then what happens? Great 2022 season, a fun season. They paid him, they gave him the contract, and then he gets hurt the following season with another neck injury and has not been the same since. So my whole thing is if you're going to make the change, it's got to be both. It can't be one or the other to me. You just can't because you're going to get stuck again. If it doesn't work out, you're going to get stuck again with having to go another direction to get another regime here, and that's not even their quarterback. And we don't know what down the road what's available at that time. And mind you, I'm not with the whole. Let me just say this before I get to that. I'm gonna see this comment here. Yep, Coach Prime close this BS. Thank you. Yeah, he did. He closed that BS. That was just BS talk. People speculating. I got the picture point to the plane. Yeah, I'll check that out. It's crazy how that's going on now. It really is that's out there. Second straight week. And we all know John Mara don't like being embarrassed, man. 2 weeks of this, he was embarrassed last week, but he was probably hoping, man, there's no way these guys are going to do this the following week again. I mean, think about the money that whoever that is arranging that. There's no way they'll do that. So hopefully, maybe please let this be swept under the rug and people will forget about it until after the season. Nope. Next week, another one up there. All over the place. So he's like, man, what am I gonna? I'm gonna have to make a change. Like, I know he don't want to. It's clear out there. It's clear out there. If you read the tea leaves, you know he doesn't want to do it. You know he wants to run this back. But it's hard to argue with the results. And the louder and louder fans are getting, the more he's gonna listen and he's gonna fall. He's gonna have to do something. Corey Johnson checking in. What's good? He salute, bro. Salute. He also says Shane Bowen needs to go and clean the whole house. Oh, he is awful. I had a lot of high hopes. I say, you know what? I wasn't thrilled with him always trying to go the direction of, hey, I wasn't always thrilled with him trying to go the direction of, hey, we'll play the soft zone stuff, and we'll get home with our 4 down linemen. I wanted aggressive, you know what I'm saying? But what I did hold hope was he was going to get this run defense fixed, because that was his calling card in Tennessee, and that did not happen this year. So I got to look at him, and I'm just not a fan of what his scheme is now. I'm just not a fan, because if you can't stop the run, how can I sit back and watch that slop? Now, I'll give credit where it's due. A lot of games this year, they have held it down. They found ways to make plays and stuff like that, but it's the same glaring needs, man. They don't stop the run, man, and I just don't like this whole passive-aggressive nonsense on defense. And on top of that, they've got 2 interceptions as a team this year. As a team. And they're like last in the league in forcing turnovers. They got one today, I believe. They got one today. They forced the fumble on the first drive. Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball inside the 20 in the red zone. So they get that. But listen, I don't like this soft shit he's about. It reminds me, what was that defensive coordinator I'm trying to think of right now that we had a few years back with this soft shit that used to drive me crazy, man. It used to drive me crazy. Oh, Pat Graham. It reminds me of that Pat Graham BS, man. Pat Graham was, to me, the most overrated defensive coordinator we had in the last 20 years. Giant fans loved the guy. I don't know why. Listen, he found ways to kind of keep us in games like Bowen does. That's it. But he was on that soft shit all the time. Hey, we don't want nothing getting by. They'll just run to the ball and play soft zone and hope we get home with our 4 down linemen. It does not work in the NFL. You can't do that. If you don't have a dominant front 4 to get your rush going all the time, that playing back soft zone shit is throcky, garbage. It does not work. And I wasn't a fan of getting I was not a fan of Wink Martindale, the way he was leaving. Okay, way he left. Well, he was acting like a baby to me, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I will say is at least we attacked on defense when he was out there, no matter what the case was. This guy, Bowen, sucks. He's got to go. And that's another red flag on this regime, man. Another red flag that they chose this guy to be a defensive coordinator. I mean, you got to be kidding me right now. Got to be kidding me. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. I'm looking at this team. And I'm just like, man, what are they good at right now? What are they good at on defense right now? I thought it was the pass. Listen, there was a time during the season where we actually had one of the best pass rushes in the league. And then everyone started getting hurt, and we all know where that went. But, man, this coaching staff is just not good enough. It's just not. That defense is terrible. As Blaze is checking in, AMAC want to say defense coordinator plays soft. However, we're paper thin as a whole team. Yeah, we are. He plays soft, and we are definitely paper thin as a team. And that is an indictment on Joe Shane roster building. With this roster, we have no depth. None of these young guys from year 1 of that draft has taken a step. Year 2 either. It's nothing but regression. Man, you look at that first draft class, man. Evan Neal, we know he's a bust. basically a bust because of where he's picked. Maybe down the road he'll be a guard, either here or somewhere. I don't know, but you don't draft a guard 7 overall. So that he's a bust pick. You know what I'm saying? Kayvon is I wouldn't call him a bust, but he's not dominant or anything like that. And he's had a tough year this year, basically due to injury. So we'll call that a wash, but it is what it is. You know, look at the other picks. Wandell, hey, Wandell, we picked Wandell over Pickens of the Steelers. We should have took Pickens. You know, Wandell, he gets catches, and I'm not going to act like Wandell hasn't been open a lot of times and they just not finding him. But, hey, if I'm comparing who I'd rather have Pickens at receiver than Wandell, and Joe Shane picked him over Pickens. And look what Pickens is doing over there in Pittsburgh. You know, the offensive lineman we took in that year one, forget about it. It's terrible. They're Zulu, all these guys who are they? They're not good. They're not good. Deontay Banks, last year's first round pick, hurt again. We all know where that's trending. It looked like he's probably going to end up being an IR candidate, whatever. But he's looking like he regressed severely. And we took him over Porter, who's also a Steeler corner, who's having a good start to his career in his first 2 years. We took Deontay Banks over him, thinking he was going to be a number one. He fit Wink's defense perfectly, and look, it looks like he doesn't even fit this defense with this weak zone crap. And I'm not sure. I know he's not a number one. I don't think Deontay Banks is a number one corner. I think that's proven now. Okay. Is he a number two? I can't even say he's a number two. Honestly. I mean, is he a starter? Yeah, he's probably a starter in the NFL. That's a high equity pick to not be sure about. It just is what it is, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's a lot of picks in year two that just haven't worked out. Belton in year one, Belton, another guy. This guy if he doesn't get an interception, he's useless. He doesn't tackle. He's a terrible tackler. And it seems like he's always out of position all the time in coverage. If he's not getting turnovers, he's useless. That's another red flag. He was a high third-round pick. Cordell Flott. I thought he's been okay this year. He's shown some improvement this year, but he's hurt again. I'm not here to say Cordell Flott should be a starting corner on a good team either. I'm not sure. A lot of misses, man. Just there's absolutely no depth on this team, especially on the offensive line. There's none. They signed guys off the street since Andrew Thomas has gotten hurt. It's just that kind of year for the Giants, man. And like I said, I have to be honest, that's on the GM, man. He's got there's 3 years of drafts, and all we got to show for it is this past year's draft class. That's not good enough. 2 out of 3 years hasn't been good. That's not good. That's not good for roster building. That sets your franchise back years, man. Years. Also, Blaze checking it says top 2 pick incoming, and I love it. Well, that's all we got left to look forward to. 3 games left, 2-12. It's all about that, man. It's another lost season, and this might be the worst season in Giant history I've ever seen. I'm almost been a Giant fan for almost 40 years, and I've never seen a season this bad. 2-12, and it's bad, bro. We're treading into the toilet with that one. But the only thing that can salvage this is we find our quarterback, and that is what I am hoping for. Whether it's Shador, whether it's Cam Ward, I like both of them, man. I like both of them. I'm gonna probably go back and forth for months after the season of which one I like more. I like both guys. I do. Cam Ward, especially his playmaking ability off script really intrigues me. But man, I love Shador. I love what he brings. That pocket passing. the swagger, the accuracy, anticipation throws. I love that too. I like that about him a lot. So it's I'm gonna be back and forth for months after this is over. Also says, you ready for another 5-7 years of this? I mean, we might be headed for that. But you know something? I'll say this. When you find your quarterback, that cuts that at least in half, that trajectory of years, man. It is what it is, bro. Now, like I said earlier, hey, if you're gonna change the regime, you change both of them, and it's only if it's the right candidate. I'm not gonna change the regime just because then you're really in the shitter. Okay, so if you don't feel like you can get the kind of impact from that somewhere else, then you run it back with these guys. You run it back. You're just gonna have no choice. I'm not here to say let's make a change just to make a change, but something got to give, man, because it's just not working. It's just not. We can't keep hoping. I mean, listen. Next year is going to be the most important draft in franchise history, obviously, because we got to get a new quarterback and we got to try to hit another home run draft, man, because last year it looked like a home run draft, but now these kids are getting hurt. We'll see down the road, but we're going to need a few more of these home run drafts, man. I mean, because these first 2 years, we basically just shot ourselves in the foot with the roster building, man. Just shot ourselves in the foot. It's not good. It's just not. It's just not. I mean, out of the first 2 years, who is a cornerstone on this franchise that you could say, you know what, he's a part of the future? Kayvon, maybe Kayvon. I'm talking, like I said, I'm talking about the first 2 years of the first 2 draft classes. Who are the staple players on this roster going forward? You're like, you know what, he's a cornerstone that we're building with. Not last year with the neighbors draft. The first 2 years. Who is it? Deontay Banks? I don't see that. I don't know. I can't say that. Kayvon Thibodeau is probably the best case. Evan Neal damn sure ain't. What is there? Wan'Dale Robinson? I don't. Who was our second round? Who was our second round pick in the second year? Oh, JMS, the center. He hasn't established himself yet either. And you know me, I'm a point of attack guy. I can't say he has. Jalen Hyatt, he hardly plays. I still believe he's got talent, and I still believe he can be a good receiver. Why haven't we used him? He doesn't play. Who is there the first 2 years that you could say is a cornerstone piece on this franchise's future? It's not good, man. It's not good. Just isn't. Lions stuck with Campbell, even going 1-11. I think we need to stick this out. Hey, listen, that's true too. They did stick with him. They did do that. Which gives me a glimmer of hope that possibly we could turn this around in the future. But you know something? He had his quarterback already, Jared Goff. And, the Lions are different. The Lions are different than the New York Giants. You know what I'm saying? The Lions, they've been in ineptitude for decades, man, for decades. So they were allowed and given the time to see this through. Okay? And that was his first year. Obviously, you're not going to make a change first year. But, man, the next year, the following year, year 2, there was progression. In 2022, there was progression, man. They had a nice run at the end of the season. They even beat us in one of those games late and almost made the playoffs that year. Then last year, I remember that, and then that year that they beat us, when that second year jump they made, they knocked Green Bay. The last game of the year ended Rodgers' season, so you saw that the trajectory was trending up. Then last year they had a really good year. They got to the NFC Championship game. and almost won that game against the Niners. And you see what they're doing this year. So they're in a different trajectory, to be honest, if you really compare the two, how the progression went. Let's look at the Giants, 2022. They won a playoff game. They outkicked the coverage. Last year, year two, compared to the Lions, they didn't show progression year two like the Lions did in year two under Campbell. You know, they almost made the playoffs, like I mentioned. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they did make the playoffs and got to the NFC Championship game last year. You know what I'm saying? And now look at them now. They're right there for home field. Hey, they stuck it out after that first year, which they should have did. I mean, who fires a coach after 1 year? It's very rare. Teams never should do that. But look where they're at now, man. The Giants have gone backwards since that first year, bro, to be honest. You said it first, they have their quarterback. We haven't had our quarterback. All right, I understand that, but it's a lot more problems on this team, too. We need our quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not here to say that the quarterback's going to all of a sudden, with the problems on the roster, going to transform us into a playoff team. I don't see that. I don't see that now because there's just no depth on this team. Let's be honest. You put Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, or Drake May on this team. How many more wins does this Giant team have right now? Maybe 2 more wins, maybe? Possibly 3, I guess. And that's saying, and that's based on because of all the close games we lost early in the season that I'm even entertaining that. So listen, the depth is a problem on this team, bro. It just is. It just is, man. It just is. And that comes from the first 2 years of the draft classes, which just haven't been good, man. It just hasn't been good, man. We talked about it the other day, when we was discussing this. It's just bad. I mean, there's a lot of misses there, bro. And Blaze says we had a quarterback on a bloated contract. We get our quarterback on a rookie contract. Johnson will be able to build around. Of course, absolutely, absolutely. But it's going to take another home run draft. You can't see. That's another thing. We can't just go out and go spend crazy like our owner Steve Cohen or something on free agency. We got to build from the draft, man. In the NFL, man. Those first 2 years of draft misses hurt us. So now we got to hope for another home run draft. We actually got to hope for a bigger home run draft than we had last year, just to break even on what's going on with this team. Because the first 2 years were just they're bad. They're bad, man. Listen, we're 1 for 3 in drafts, basically. In baseball terms. That's not good, man. That's not good. So this isn't just getting our quarterback right. We also have to get the roster right with this draft, man. We need depth everywhere. Offensive line depth. You know me, I'm a point of attack guy. If you ain't got that, you ain't gonna do nothing. I don't care what the weapons look like. We need depth on the offensive line. We need depth in the defensive line. Those are the 2 most important things, and we don't have that. We got to get that. What else? We need at least 2 corners, 2 starting cornerbacks, because I'm not in on Deontay Banks. I do not like what I've seen, him quitting on plays and getting constantly burned all the time. The signs were there that he was going to be a problem in training camp when he was getting burned it seemed like every time training camp reports, and I'm not even a guy that is high on training camp results like that. But the signs, I guess, were there because look what's happened. It's transferred into the season. He was getting burned all the time at training camp. And then the season starts, he was getting burned again, getting killed. Everyone killing him. After week 2, he just regressed, man. Regressed. And then he started quitting on plays too. The quitting thing was killing me. I'm not feeling that. That is a red flag to me. Big time red flag to me, man. Big time. So I don't know. We need 2 corners. We need linebackers. This bum-ass defensive coordinator turned Okereke into a coverage linebacker. I don't know what happened. Just got my guy regressed, turned him into a coverage linebacker. McFadden, I'm not in on McFadden. A lot of Giant fans like what he does. He misses too many tackles for me. Doesn't get all blocks. Where are the playmakers on defense in the back end. We have no players in the back end that make plays on the ball. Some of it is scheme, though. I would say some of it's got to be scheme, but hey, they don't make plays. Tyler Nubin, I'm a fan of. Phillips, those two picks are going to be, I believe, good cornerstone players for this defense franchise going forward. Okay. Most of our main players in these drafts are on defense. Where are the offense besides Malik Neighbors? Where are they? Tyrone Tracy, I like what I see from him. Still got a lot to prove, but I think he can be a good role. As of now, I'll say I can see him in a timeshare role with another player on this team. I can live with that. We need a wide receiver too. We need two cornerbacks. Jason Pinnock, bye. I'm not paying him. Look how bad he looked today. Another week, he's getting burned or out of position and cover. Bye. We need pass rushers. Aziz is a free agent, and I'm not paying an injury-prone player like that kind of money that he's going to get or command on the market. Listen, Kayvon coming off the injury. We got Burns. He's locked up long-term. We need pass rushes. We need a DT to play with Dex that can help stop the run. We need a lot. We need a wide receiver, too, to play on the other side with Neighbors so he doesn't get double and triple teamed every day when we get our rookie quarterback in there next year who's going to be looking for him and looking to spread the ball around. He ain't going to have no one else to throw to but Neighbors double team, which is going to be difficult for a rookie quarterback. We're going to need a starting guard. We're going to need a starting right tackle. Okay? We're going to need depth on the offensive line because as much as I love AT, Andrew Thomas, these injuries every year are starting to concern me now. So now we gotta invest on getting a guy that can hold it down for him whenever he can't play. We need a lot. Those first 2 years in those draft classes are exposing that, not just quarterback. But it all starts with quarterback. That is the main thing we need to do. We need to figure that out. And once we do get our franchise quarterback, hopefully develop a franchise quarterback, then everything else will go from there. But this is not going to be an overnight fix. It's just not. It's just not. But that's gonna be the end of the show today. We're just gonna wrap it up. Giants fall again to the Baltimore Ravens. Next game of the season will be at Atlanta next week. A game Atlanta needs. Going to be a tough environment. Whoever the quarterback's going to be. Could be Drew Lock. Could be Tim Boyle. Could be a Tim Boyle game next week, fellas. Are y'all ready to see that? Tim Boyle starting for our New York Football Giants. Oh, man. I just can't wait to end this season, man. I just can't wait till this season is over, man. It's that kind of bad, man. 3 games left, laying out the string. Boy, everything that needed to go wrong for the Giants to be this bad has gone wrong and then some this year for this football team, man. Just terrible, man. 100 years anniversary of this football franchise, this storied football franchise, man. And this is the type of season we're going to probably have the worst season in franchise history, man. Corey says Tim Boyle season. It's crazy, bro. Tim fucking Boyle, bro. Tim Boyle. We are about to get – I know that's where this is trending, man, because is Drew Lock going to be ready to play next week? He was the emergency quarterback. I mean, he's going to be a sitting duck with that ankle injury with them boys in Atlanta. They're going to be looking for a win. Oh, man. Tim Boyle. Yeah, fellas. This is the kind of season we're having. Never in my wildest dreams did I say in the 100th year anniversary of the New York Giants, we will be 2-12 entering week 16. And Tim Boyle has a chance to be the starting quarterback of my football team. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would ever utter those words this season coming into the season, man. Oh, man. Blaze with the last comment of the night. We did say it was a Dave Brown era. Buckle up. Bro, I thought that was the worst era that I've ever seen as a Giant fan. The Dave Brown, Danny Cannell, Kent Graham, Tommy Maddox era. And we're living something worse. Never in my wildest dreams, bro. This is crazy. I'm laughing right now, and I'm just hiding the pain. This is my mechanism to deal with this kind of pain that we dealing with this year, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy that it has come down to this. Tim freaking Boyle. Cliff says, I feel for you, bro. As a Jet fan, I never want you all to go through suffering like I have. All right, well, listen, I still wouldn't want to be a Jet fan. I still wouldn't want to be a Jet fan. I mean, they had Super Bowl aspirations. Like, I'm not going to go kill the Jets right now, man. I'm just not doing that based on what we're dealing with. But, hey, Super Bowl aspirations and then to be 4-10, getting rid of everybody. Hall of Fame quarterback has aged as a Jet. Yeah, that's tough. But the New York Giants, man, they got nothing to brag about because this is terrible ourselves. We are in the midst of our worst season in franchise history, it looks like, because I don't see them winning another game the rest of the year. Maybe they could sneak one at maybe week 18. Maybe the Eagles rest guys and they just say the hell us to screw the Giants over on their pick on the draft pick. Wouldn't that be something? Which I don't think it's going to happen because I think they're going to want to win that game, especially Saquon Barkley. If he's chasing history, you know he's going to want to stick it to the Giants. He's going to want to stick it to him. And, you know, they're definitely playing for something home field the rest of the year. So, you know, it's going to be a tough watch, man. It's going to be a tough watch these last 3 games. Our last 3 games of the season. Our last 3 games of the season are at Atlanta, the Colts at home the following week, where there'll be absolutely nobody at MetLife Stadium, unfortunately. And also the last game at Philadelphia. Please tell me, where are we getting a win? Where are we getting a win? I don't know, man. I don't know where it's going to be. So we're in the midst of going to have our worst season in 100-year anniversary of the franchise, man. How does John Mara, the question is, will they survive Black Monday? How does John Mara bring this regime back with this kind of a season we're having this year? Flying banners over the stadium every week. And we got one more week at home to play. You think look at what's been going on. You think they're not going to have another plane flying around, especially heading into that game on this losing streak? We might lose out the rest of the season. It's crazy. It is crazy right now, man. It really is. Oh man, 3 more weeks, guys. 3 more weeks. Well, that's going to wrap it up tonight. Giants lose, fall to the Ravens 35-14, and now at 2-12. 2-12. Going to get a top 3 pick most likely. We'll see where it goes, but just another lost season, lost week. This game wasn't even competitive, man. Wasn't even competitive. Basically, the Ravens just toyed with us, so it is what it is. But that's going to wrap it up. For those that are just stopping through, I just ask that you like and subscribe to the channel, Born for Sports. I would appreciate that. As you can see, I'm a diehard New York Giants fan, suffering just like you. Season ticket holder. Shout out to my Section 330 crew, by the way. All love, and you know how it goes. As you can see, I'm a diehard New York Giant fan. We talk Giants football. Diehard Knicks fan. We talk New York Knicks basketball. They got a game tonight at 6 against Orlando. We'll see how that goes. Diehard New York Mets fan. Juan Soto's a New York Met. Hey, diehard New York Mets fan. We talk Yankees. We talk New York Rangers. I'm a diehard New York Rangers fan as well. We talk all sports, whatever you want to talk about in the world of sports, especially New York sports. So another tough loss for the Giants. 2-12 it is. That's going to wrap it up tonight. Like and subscribe to Born for Sports. Let's go Giants.